Hey guys, I'm Dimension Jump and today I'll be reviewing Persona 3 Spring of Rebirth, which was released back in November of 2013. So, this movie is part of a quadrilogy of films based on Persona 3, the game, and each game, no, not each game, each film is based on a particular section of Persona 3. So, for Spring of Birth, it starts off from at the start of the game, obviously, until around Fuka joins the team or joins C's. So that's about 3 months or so of in game time, and yeah, I think because when it comes to like the Persona animes, this is the only one, or this is the only Persona game, to my knowledge, that is in films. Whereas Persona 4 and 5 have their own shows. Those two animes are more show based, so more episodically, where this is more film based. So yeah, that's kind of interesting, but also a bit different. Something I'll probably talk about later in the review. And also, I will be talking about each film individually over the next few weeks, just so I can talk about my thoughts on each of the films and what my thoughts are. And once I finished doing all those reviews, I'll talk about how my thoughts on the Persona 3 films as a whole. So yes, so with Spring of Birth, as I said before, it starts off at the start of the game and then it finishes about 3 in-game months. That's where it ends. So about where Fuka is when she joins the team. And I've got to say, there are some things I do like about the game, or not the game, the film. That being, the animation is really, really great, because when you look at the Persona animes together, like Persona 3, 4, and 5, you can see that there are some nice elements to them. So like, I would say Persona 4 has some nice jokes. I think the jokes in that game, or not the game, in that anime, lands well. With Persona 5, I think, even though that anime isn't the best, because a lot of it is rushed and not great in some aspects, the dub works there, and I think it does great works. With Persona 3, the animation is really, really good, because you don't really see that in, I would say, a lot of, when it comes to like certain aspects of like different animes, or like the animation isn't good. It's okay, I guess, but like with some anime films, like you can either have really, really great ones, like let's say Demon Slayer Mugen Train that was released a few years ago. The animation for that film is awesome. And then you've got other ones that aren't really that great. I don't really know which animes. I can't really think of any anime films that don't have bad animation, that do have bad animation that comes to my head at this point. But with Persona 3, Spring of Birth, it's surprisingly good, and I do enjoy like how everything moves in the game. Like, especially the personas, because the personas move. They feel like they're actually feel like they're moving, and not just doing the whole thing of just doing an attack and then just that's it, and then you get a dodge from the enemy and stuff like that. So yeah, I do think that's interesting. Another thing, I do like the sort of like, we do get to see like, some interactions with the characters, but I feel like that's where the movie falls apart a bit, because this movie rushes, and I mean it rushes through the first 3 in-game months. So when it starts, you've got the main character. He arrives at the station, then he goes to the dormitories where he's going to be living for the next year, and then he gets his persona. He then wakes up. A few days go by. Then the first proper boss fight happens. That happens. A few more days go by, or as I say, a few weeks go by then, and then a few more weeks, and then we're at the end of the movie, and that's where we get the final boss or the two bosses that we get to fight in the game when Fuka comes, and I think that's the major letdown of the movie, because if you look at Persona 4 and 5, when it comes to the animes, they're more episodically. But with, I would say, Persona 4 specifically, that had time for a breather. So like every time someone was rescued from the TV world, you felt that was some sort of, you felt the breather. Like, okay, Yukiko has been found. She's been saved from the TV world. Let's have a few days to do some social links and stuff like that. And yeah, I feel like with Persona 3 Spring of Birth, you don't really see a lot of the whole social link stuff, because it just rushes. Like, okay, we've got to have, because I feel like everyone on board in terms of making the film was just like, okay, you have this amount of game to cover. You can't really miss any of those big chunks because of how it fits into the story and how it continues on the story as a whole. And I feel like the animators and everyone else on board and storytellers kind of had to. I don't know. It just feels like there was like a lot of. It feels like a lot of content was left, and I feel like it just feels really rushed, because like we do get to see some social link hanging out stuff here and there, but overall you don't really see a lot of downtime with Makoto, the main character, and his friends a lot. It's just mission after mission after mission, and that's it. That's the whole movie. And I feel like there could have been a few more downtimes, just so we can have just so it doesn't feel rushed. And that's that's the only downtime. It just feels rushed because of what we have. But overall, I do enjoy Spring of Birth. It's just I just think that because of everything that happens in the movie, I feel like it could have been. I think there could have been a few more minutes here and there, about 5 to 10 minutes extra, just so we can see some of the extra stuff, like the social links and other stuff. But overall, I do think Spring of Birth is quite an enjoyable movie. I do enjoy everything that the movie has to offer. And yeah, on one more thing, on the point of rushed stuff, is Tartarus, because we do get to see some of Tartarus, but we get to see one full scene of Tartarus appearing and the characters explaining what Tartarus is, but then we don't really get to see it for the rest of the movie once it's been introduced. We do get to see some points, or some parts of Tartarus, but it's not really fleshed out as much as some of the other stuff. But hopefully in the next movie, they will actually get to flesh out a lot more stuff in there. So yeah, so that's been my review for Spring of Birth. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.